I believe that in next 10 years, in next decade, most of these digital interactions will shift to voice, which is a more richer form of communication.
Two IITs and two IIMs.
He enjoys mathematics like anything. When you try to build any sort of voice model, it's not at all good.
I think 80% of Indians don't know English?
Yeah.
It's a headline. Search is nothing but collaboration. Hello friends, welcome back. So we have another episode coming up, and we are making sure that we are able to get some really interesting startup founders who are in a very interesting space as far as AI is concerned. So I have a great privilege of introducing Tushar Shinde. Welcome to the episode.
Thank you so much for having
from
us.
Vaani. And we have Raja, who is one of the founding members. Again, from the Vaani AI Research team. What I wanted to discuss today is that, first of all, I want to thank you all for applying to the Google for Startup AI First Accelerator. And I also want to congratulate you for having made it. We had 6,000 plus applications. So before we get going about Vaani AI Research, so can you just share of your experience over the last 4-5 days with the Accelerator?
Absolutely. So it's been amazing for whatever that we have experienced in last couple of days, right from the people that we met or the kind of sessions we had. And one better thing that I can point out is most of the boot camps or the things or events that I've gone to in the past, most of the advices that we typically get are very vague. Like you should do this and do that. That typical knowledge everybody knows. But here we actually got the tactical knowledge, the actual next action steps, like action step 1, 2, 3 that we should be executing over the period of next 90 days. So that is something which stood out for us, because unless and until you have the exact goals and how we are going to achieve it in terms of say OKRs, that's a time wasted. And thankfully Google is something which refrained from that. So we're really thankful for having that.
Wonderful. Yeah. So I'm also so glad to know that, so you know that Google research team had worked with Indian Institute of Science. Yeah. And we jointly developed the data set called Project Vaani. Right. So did you guys see some benefit out of that? Because I know you're a Indian Institute of Science kind of incubated startup, I would say.
No, alumni.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
Yeah. So, in fact, couple of foundation models that we are trying to build. Vaani has been a great data source to power those models. IISc Bangalore, in collaboration with Google, runs a project called Vaani, headed by Dr. Prashanta Ghosh sir, one of the professor at IISc. So, the project is to collect the data set of around 150,000 hours of audio data in different dialects. So, most of the speech models out there, they only care about how many languages they have. But this particular initiative was to have the coverage for dialects as well. So for example, in Hindi, you might get different dialects, and dialect in India changes every 50 kilometers, right? So that data is very, very useful for people building the tier 2, tier 3 and rural use cases. And nobody has taken that effort because of course it is first costly. It needs to have larger logistics in place. So I'm glad that Google and IISc took this initiative to do that. And it's been, I think, a couple of years since that initiative is in place. I think so far they've collected around 26,000 hours of data, if I'm not wrong. Maybe it has gone a little bit ahead of that. But yeah, this is what the data set is about.
Great. Thanks, Tushar. So Raja, tell us, how did you meet Tushar and the founding team, and what motivated you to become part of the team?
So I didn't meet Tushar directly. I met Nitish, another co-founder. We both used to work in the same lab. It's just I'm passionate about solving problems, and these guys were solving something very fundamental to what we had needed. And I did want to build something that's more resonant with our own, which I can have the next person use of it around me, right? So a voice model does sound like a good thing that I wanted to explore. And so yeah, that's how I got with it.
Awesome, man. I'm so glad that all of you are from Indian Institute of Science. And
She's from Madras,
IIT Madras, yeah. And 3 of you from Indian Institute of Science.
Nitish, the third co-founder, and him are from Madras. Me and
2 IITs and 2 IIMs.
Yeah, that's interesting. He enjoys mathematics like anything.
Okay.
So in just like a couple of months that we have been spending on this particular model, he has really taken it very, very ahead.
Thank you.
He's just building it up.
So now tell me, so why do you name this as Vaani AI Research? So what's the story behind it?
Yeah, so Vani basically, it's speech and melody in Sanskrit, and that very well resonated with the space that we are operating in. So initially we started out to build India native models, India native foundation models, to have the coverage over languages and dialects. The current models that we have in terms of how they sound, how expressive they are, how empathetic they are when you try to build any sort of voice model, it's not at all good. We have tried most of the models out there, and we felt that there's a major market gap because anytime if you want to build a commercial use case out of a speech model that needs to sound better, because there are tons of IVRs in the market from last 30 years. Whenever I get an IVR call, I know it's a machine talking to me. I don't want to give that feeling to people, right? So I wanted to build a model which sounded more human. But in order to achieve that, it's a multifold problem, right? From the data set till the training, till you get the hardware and GPUs, till you actually get the people working on them, and then getting something which people find value in. So it's a multi-step problem that we set out to solve. And I think that's where Vani as a name fit in perfectly.
Great. So what's the vision you guys have for Vaani? Like, what is it that we expect as success for Vaani?
Sure. Can I take a step back and walk you through an anecdote? So if you know about this company called Stripe, it's a payments gateway company. So before Stripe, there were a lot of payment gateway companies out there, but everything was fragmented. And what Stripe did was they created a unified layer where companies did not have to spend weeks and months into integrating one singular payment gateway to accept a cross-border payment or maybe domestic payment. They made it so easy that with just few lines of code, your developer can integrate that. Today, something similar is happening in voice AI space. I really believe that voice has a major potential to transform how we interact with digital systems. It did not have to be all GUI-based. Say, for example, now if you want to go from Google's office to our office in HSR, you'll take out a phone, you'll choose any transportation app like Uber, you'll click source, destination, then the type of cab that you want to choose, select the budget and click. That's a long, frictionful process. I believe that in next 10 years, in next decade, most of these digital interactions will shift to voice, which is a more richer form of communication. Till now, it did not happen because the accuracy was not that great. Entire ecosystem was stunted somewhere. But now things have started changing, and majority of that would be driven through voice interactions. But in order to do that, somebody has to take an effort to build the foundation infrastructure for it, and that is exactly what we're trying to do. Most of the people, the way they're building AI agents and the voice interfaces is very, very fragmented. They rely mostly on Western models, tons of APIs. They try to stitch it together, run into performance issues, and there are tons of problems. So we want to create a unified layer, unified interface, which is a one-stop solution for everybody to make their lives easier. So that you can build a very quickly high-performing voice agents out of the box.
So in another way, you guys are building your own LLMs.
Yeah, foundation models, yes. And at the same time, our own infrastructure which supports and uses those foundation models in order to create some value.
So Raja, so how do you see these models which you're building? How do you see this evolving, or what are you learning from them?
Couple of things actually. Like, what you can really observe is, as you're really lucky to be alive at this point where a lot of technology is out there for you to use and access is very easy. One. And this problem that we are trying to solve is solved in English. It's yet another language, right? We just have to bring that towards our own Indic languages, which could be fragmented at first. But we have a lot of initiatives at the moment. But the problem that we really face with is data limitations that we have, because English being one script, one dialect, and a set of spoken, predefined set of a lot of data as well, it's easy to do. But we know that this is solvable. So what we are trying to do and learn is data efficiency a lot. It's our key metric, that how data efficient we are.
Just to extend on that, majority of our work goes into how do we work with low resource languages, because English has a lot of corpus. Everybody has posted something in English on internet. Hindi also will get something, not that much as English, but other languages, they have like very, very minute data sources. And that is the first problem. Like, how do you solve for the data inefficiency in the first place? Because in order to train a foundation model, these are like, even the smaller model could be a couple
So
of...
are you prioritizing some languages, Indian languages?
Currently, yes, but yeah, eventual goal is to have as much coverage as possible. But even if the priority that we have, it's still lesser. What are the amount of data that we usually get? And the another problem is whatever data you get, it is not a quality data. It's all noisy. There's tons of speakers trying to speak. It is not at all conversational. Mostly it is narrational. Most of it is in a lower sampling rate, which is not pleasant to human ears. So it is not at all useful to build a quality model out of. So these are a couple of challenges that we also faced, but thanks to better architectural choices that we made, better data processing pipelines we wrote, we are able to crack at least some of it.
Interesting. So going back to the vision, you gave the example of Stripe, which is very, very useful for us to understand. But eventually, what's be the use cases? Like, where do you see this being used?
Yeah. Today's voice agents are getting mostly used in call center operations. So, and that's the most for-profit use case that we have seen so far. And most of the call centers, if you augment those employees with their AI counterparts, the productivity boosts like anything. So you could automate operations like customer support, you could automate sales, pre-sales, engagement, cross-selling, upselling. There are tons of applications and use case. But that is not the only bucket. Most of the market sees that as the only market. But in my view, if voice is getting out there for the next decade, it is here to stay. And this is just one part of the things you could solve. But there are tons of things like the Uber example that I gave. Say any insurance form that you or your father wants to fill out, they might not be comfortable with all of those nuances and jargons. There could be an AI co-pilot with that. It can just talk to, sir, aap abhi ye fill kar do, ye fill kar do. There are tons of things that you could solve with voice. So there's tons of B2B, tons of B2C use cases, and tons of assistance you will see in the next coming decade.
Interesting. So I think it's a really a complex problem to solve to make it. If you look at the larger picture, obviously, I think what 80% of Indians don't know English.
Yeah, I think it would be around 70%. Yeah.
Okay, and so they're all only local language. Mostly local language they can only speak, and some of them are not even literate, right? So everybody can speak their local language.
Right.
And if you can give the power of computing or filling up a as simple form as what in their local language so that they don't need to depend on somebody else, that's a very powerful message, right? And it's amazingly empowering for people.
Right. One more thing that I would like to point out is most of the GUI-centric frameworks that we have. So all of the computers on mobile phones are GUI-centric, like there are screens and buttons and clicks, which was made popular by a couple of folks sitting in Silicon Valley. When we go back to the time of Steve Jobs, it was first consumer computer that those guys made and tried to make some money out of it. Of course, value was also there, but it is not how things should be forever, right? So, and India is not a GUI first country. In fact, a lot of people that I speak to on a day-to-day basis, there's one person that I spoke to from Ludhiana. He runs a manufacturing unit. And in that, he runs an elastic manufacturing unit. And throughout his 24 hours, he spent around 3 to 4 hours only on phone. Like chasing leads, maybe calling them for payments, maybe trying to make more business. There are tons of things that he does only on phone. So he has a CRM, he has like a lot of email automation system, but still all of the Indians, majority of the long tail MSMEs are dependent on voice conversations. So in order to solve for India, you have to think a little bit different from GUI and get into one mode which they are more comfortable with, which is voice.
Absolutely, bang on. Because the MSMEs and small businesses are primarily running their business on voice in whatever form.
On WhatsApp, on
phone. Everybody records the message. Yeah, even types on WhatsApp, especially people in that kind of high transaction, high volume business, which is small businesses and medium scale businesses. So now tell me, how are you taking this to market? So where are you on this product stage? What help do you guys need? And what do you see for yourself over the next 12 to 18 months for Vaani AI Research?
So currently we are working with 15 good businesses, which we call them as partners. These come from two different areas. One is where we directly work with the customers, where we understand their use case, what they want to build, understand kind of data and conversation their customers have. That is one way that we operate in. The other way where we partner with a lot of system integrators and BPOs and channel partners, which basically take care of the end customers. So we are basically trying to enable them build more efficient, more productive use cases for their end customers. So it's a win-win situation for everybody in that entire value chain. So this is how we work currently.
And which languages are right now operational?
So currently it's 12 major Indian languages, including the mixture of languages like English. English is a mix of Hindi and English, which is a day-to-day conversational language that we have.
Awesome. So from an architecture perspective, how is your product? Like, what are the ones which you guys have built yourself? What are the ones you're depending on somebody else from a tech perspective? So if you can just share some right now.
So it's a cascading architecture. So cascading is where you try to make a pipeline including a couple of components. We could not work directly on speech-to-speech models because that needs humongous resources, which we don't have, where we might expect some help from Google. But coming to the cascading architecture, there you'd find a speech recognition unit, there is an LLM unit, and there's a TTS unit. So TTS is something that we built. That's a text-to-speech model, which has to be expressive and empathetic because that is the only unit which is in touch with customer directly. Then there is
So it reads the text from a form and then...
yeah. So the way pipeline moves is whenever I'm speaking on a phone, my voice goes through the telephony gateway, gets into ASR, which is a speech recognition unit, which then converts all of that voice into text. That text gets fed to an LLM. LLM is a language-based reasoning engine. It will generate a context.
So this LLM is something which you guys have built or you're using any other
We
popular
have
LLM?
fine-tuned a lot of LLMs. So we have even taken Gemma, which is by Google. We have worked with DeepSeek and Llama also. Gemma is something where we have found good results with. We have fine-tuned it based on the industries that we work in. So say, for example, if you're working in banking, we train it, post-train it with a lot of lingos and entities and the transaction details of any banking entity. So that is how we make them more performant.
So, okay, so you have the Gemma model at this point in time, then you have the TTS,
Yeah.
and then you have the voice input coming from the user.
Yes.
And then you do this magic, and then based on that, whatever that input, you get an output out, and it goes through the same engine and then comes out as a voice.
Yes.
Correct? That's the way it
Yeah, that's a, in a lemon way, that is how it works.
Okay, so now for any of these developers who are looking at this podcast or this show, what is the advice you want to give them based on your experience in terms of this opportunity here or opportunity to work with you in some form or the other, or just to feel excited if they can contribute in some form and shape for this? Because I think based on my experience of having lived for so long in India, there's huge amount of people who are not able to use the power of computing still because of this literacy issues and language barriers. And if this can help overcome that, so be it. And then you have a lot of developers out there who can in some form or other contribute. So any thoughts for them? What are your advice for these folks?
Right. For developers specifically, so I see the current era that we're living in as a huge, huge opportunity to build something and ship it out to the world, because we have lost the wave that came in 90s, which is a BPO wave. Then we lost the cloud wave as well. So this is the opportunity to build something from grounds up for India, built in India, but could be shipped out to world. And voice as a space, it just started last year and it is going to be there for next couple of decades. So if people could find interesting use cases, build some India native models, or maybe say some foreign country language models from India, but for the world, and ship it out there, there's a lot of good things that could happen to our economy. And India has second largest number of developers in the world. So, there's talent already out there. If we just make sure that we build great things, good things where people can find value for, we believe that there's a ton of potential, and voice could be a major driver for all of those things.
So Raja, so you've been a developer at Core from your IIT days, and you're significantly contributing to the founding team. So what is the advice you have for somebody who's watching this show in today's time and age, right? So the elephant in the room for most of the folks is that machine is doing most of the work, then why am I needed, right?
Yeah.
But in reality, that may not be the case. And so I would like to hear from you. What is it that the advice you give for wannabe developers who are still grooming their skills? What is it that they need to take care?
To be honest, I would say I can go on about this on and on, but I'd say be curious. It's helped me a lot. Today I might pick up a technology and I look at it, although it might not be something that I would really use on a day-to-day basis, but I'd learn something from it. It's not necessarily that I have to use it, but that really helps me to do something else, because We are moving into space where you need to be, today if I'm doing a lot of machine learning training, I really need to be aware of a lot of DevOps practices. I need to be aware of a lot of how my people would use my technology, how would it be implemented in the stack. I cannot take the pleasure I cannot work in a silo. So being curious helps so that you get be aware of a lot of pipelines. And then what I'd suggest is, my first learning moment came when I did my first PR to an open repo.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was not a machine learning science or repo. It was just some kind of a web development repo, which I did find out when I was way old, like 17 or 16 old. It was an awesome moment because someone took my advice and some feature in a very small repo. The guy looked at my PR and like, yeah, let's do this.
Okay.
And it's just fueled you up. So it keeps you in the community. You know, a lot of things you get to know that to be honest, there are a lot of tips and tricks of the trade. It may not be out there. A lot of blogs exist nowadays, but being in that space helps you eliminate a lot of pitfalls that you might go into do if you do this alone. Yes, that's for me.
That's pretty cool. Thank you, Raja. So now, moving on. So for the next 12 months, for Vaani AI Research, what do you see happening? So what are those big rocks you guys want to move?
Yeah, a couple of milestones that we have set for ourselves is first to be as resourceful as possible, because the endeavor that we have undertaken is not easy. There are tons of problems that we need to solve, and we need good resources. Right from funding, right from hardware and GPUs, right from the kind of people that we're in touch with, may it be investors, may it be mentors, may it be advisors, may it be other technical people that we usually collaborate with. Getting things in place and being resourceful is the first milestone that we obviously want to have. And the second one is building an A-star team out of India. I know there are tons of researchers, machine learning.
Starting out of India, what is it?
Building a rock-solid A-star team out of India.
Okay.
So initially when we started, we wanted to build an R&D organization out of India. When like all of us left our corporate jobs and started. But like 6 months down the line, we very quickly...
And when did you guys start?
Around mid last year. So, but in couple of months, we've realized that it is very hard to build a R&D organization out of India like OpenAI. OpenAI had to struggle a lot for first couple of years, and they had good funding from Elon Musk. We did not have that. So it was very hard to build an R&D organization. So that's why we needed to find some sort of a commercial angle to it, and that is how Vaani came to be. So even in order to have that, I know there are tons of research works that I've met in my earlier life. I want to form a team of these rock solid people of at least 15 to 20 folks who are good at research, who are good at generating value, and who are good at creating something which people want, a Y Combinator motto. So having that team in place, it's something that I'm looking forward to. And there are tons of amazing folks that I'm speaking to on a day-to-day basis in order to build that team. So these are two goals that we have set for ourselves. And apart from that, of course, there are revenue goals, there are tons of other, but I see them as byproducts.
Yes. Thank you for this. I think I've got clarity. Ever since AI started to get into mainstream, there's a lot of emphasis on research. Otherwise, the research was not something really cool sometime back. People wanted to do engineering and land something, do something quick and dirty, either as a startup or as in figuring out a job or something, right? But a lot of now emphasis on research. So what is the advice you give for people who are watching? Why is it that they need to do research based on your experience? And what is it that they need to be aware of if they need to do research? And then obviously, at some point in time, I at least foresee, based on what you guys said, is that you will be a very large research company, and the research will fuel innovation, and the innovation will help you monetize.
Right.
And that's the way it works.
Yeah. That is how I see.
And maybe 80% of that innovation won't monetize, but then even 20% is good enough for you to take care of more and more research, right? So you tell people, why should they get into research?
Why research? To be honest, I would say the barrier to research nowadays is so low.
Yeah.
Right? Back then, for our computers are faster. We have access to, let's say, Google has Colab. You have Kaggle. Like in computer science research, I'm just going to be sticking to AI research.
Research in computer science is good enough.
So the barrier is so way low. All you need to do is to start. You know, getting started is important, and do a lot of hands-on work. sure, I'm not against the notion that we should not be vibe coding and stuff. It gets you out there, but once you start going into the nitty-gritties of it, I'd say do some hands-off and hands-on. Keep it both, keep a mixture of both worlds so that you can communicate with the other developer. Because back then when I had an issue with a repo, I'd write a GitHub issue and raise to the maintainer that this is an issue, or this is a feature request I have, please do something about it. That fosters some kind of communication that helps you collaborate. Research is nothing but collaboration. I'm only able to
So it's a headline. Research is nothing but collaboration.
we are only able to do what we do right now because of painstaking hard work others did before me. Without that work, I can't do any of this. The people who are intelligent enough and I'd say not intelligent, kind and humble enough to publish it out there for all the world to use, expecting powers us to do this. That is my take.
No, of course. Like research is a thing which feeds on itself. If say, for example, if Mr. Vaswani and others, they did not write that Transformers paper, like attention is all you needed back in 2017, none of this would have happened. Like OpenAI wouldn't be there at this place where it should have.
Though there is a not documented the research work.
Yeah, everything is so well documented and it's a collaborative knowledge. And there's a lot of research happening in the open source domain as well. So I believe that research, as he said, is a collaborative affair. And even inside our company, it's a tiny startup of 10 to 12 people, but we spend at least 1 hour a week having those brainstorming sessions. Everybody's welcome to have their own ideas, and we also try to become devil's advocates and try to have healthy arguments about it. And that is how you build up the research organization, basically. And I think that is something most of the startups should be able to do, and they should do.
Yeah, I fundamentally believe that in India, engineering was a great wave. I think we are now embarking on a research wave, and companies such as Vaani AI Research are leading the forefront. And I think, like you said, computing has become almost commodity, right? So you have excess compute power.
Right.
You have a lot of infrastructure. All that you probably need is a little bit of interest, curiosity, and ability to collaborate selflessly and share things, right? I think that's what is all research about, and that will be the stepping stone for innovation. Innovation, wherever there is innovation, there's always money, right?
Right.
And wherever there's money, there's convenience, and convenience for some lead into happiness, right? So I wish you all the very best and for this journey on research. And so we're always there waiting for you on the sidelines to make sure that you guys are successful in your journey. Anything you need from Google, apart from whatever you're getting from the Google for Startup AI First Accelerator, be it on Gemma, open models you want to tune, or for the fact you want us to help something on the language sets, I'm more than happy to work with you guys and help you. And hoping to see this solve all the problems, the millions of Indian language literate people are really use this to become more effective, more productive.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll be there one day. And thank you for being part of this journey.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So much.
Thank you, Tushar.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Raja. Thanks.